We do want to turn now to our interview. We have in studio with us the governor of South Dakota, Kristi Noem. She, of course, the governor of one of the states that you have been hearing a lot about, one of the states that has so-called trigger law, where abortion has pretty much been outlawed. She is right now the first female governor of this great state of South Dakota.
And she has been garnering a lot of national attention and recounting her life's journey in her new book, Not My First Rodeo, Lessons from the Heartland. Governor Kristi Noem joins us right here now. Welcome, Governor. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you. It's great to be with you.
We know you're on a big book tour, and we're going to talk about the book in just a moment. We do want to talk about the overturning of Roe v. Wade. Abortion is now illegal in your state of South Dakota, and you have said publicly that it's your intention to prosecute the providers or the physicians who would provide abortions rather than prosecuting the women who are wanting them or seeking them. How would you go about enforcing that, and what type of punishment? What does this look like in your state now?
Well, and that's some of the conversation that's going on. We already had a statute on the books that said if Roe v. Wade was ever overturned, that abortions would be illegal in the state of South Dakota, except to save the life of the mother. And so that was already in place. So immediately when that decision came down, that was the law of the land in our state. And I think the questions we started to get right away was, well, what happens to these women, and will they be prosecuted, and will there be punishments? And that is not the intention at all in South Dakota. It's to support mothers, see what we can do to help individuals that are in this time of crisis or uncertainty with an unplanned pregnancy, and how we can support them through that. But it would be directed towards the physicians that would knowingly break the law, that there would be penalties for that. So there are some issues that may need to be addressed. I know our legislature is thinking about coming into a special session to see what that punishment looks like. Right now it would be a felony class 6 in South Dakota, which would have some punishment to it, obviously. So that's the concern, is the details of it, and some of those discussions will be had. For me, I've been really focused on what we can do to support women during this time, as far as health care, medical needs, how we can really partner them with nonprofits and even help them find adoptive families.
You said certainly details to be worked out. One of those has to do with telemedicine and medication abortions. If someone, you said you want to go after the providers, if someone through telemedicine delivers or sends or mails medication for an abortion to someone in your state, is that person committing a crime? And how do you go after that person who might be sending the medication into South Dakota?
Well, we actually have a bill that has already been passed and signed into law in South Dakota that deals with telemedicine abortions. So yes, it's to stop anyone from getting medication over the internet or by the phone from a physician and having this procedure at home unsupervised. So we know that these medical procedures are more dangerous if there's not a physician present. They're 5 times more likely to end up in an emergency room because of complications. So in our state, we want that to be something that a physician does supervise and is a part of that procedure.
Okay, that violation is from the physician who mails it and not the person in state who takes it on their own.
That is correct.
Okay.
And Governor, I know that you mentioned you wanted to help women who are in the situation of having an unplanned pregnancy. I know maternal health care in your state faces a number of challenges. I believe one of the statistics we have, infant mortality rate in your state is the 6th highest in the country as of 2020. What are your plans to help women who are now forced to carry a child they do not want, in terms of just what changes would you make in your state, and how would you fund them?
We do have some unique challenges in South Dakota. A lot of rural areas. We have 9 Native American tribes that are really challenged in this area. So partnering with them in new ways will be very important to do this. Getting access to healthcare providers to these patients, I think, is incredibly important. We do have work to do. I think that a lot of states are evaluating that now, what we can do to make sure that these individuals feel like they can come forward and partner with us. We have pregnancy centers throughout the state of South Dakota that we need to connect them with and build those relationships more. And then it's the funding. A lot of times people talk about supporting women, but do you do it with the funding? And that's one of the things that South Dakota will be having a debate about, and that I've been asking my legislature to consider.
One other question people have now, that pro-life also includes for a lot of people being against IVF. Does your current bill right now,
we're
the way
not
it is?
against IVF.
So, but this idea, pro-life, the fertilization is when life begins. So how do you make that separation if you're okay with IVF, but at the same time with the abortion ban?
Well, I think that, you're talking about some positions that some may hold. It's certainly not a position that I would hold or a belief of mine. I do believe life begins at conception, but IVF is a wonderful option for so many people in the world to have a family that they've always dreamed of. So, there's extreme, I would say, positions on all different topics under this umbrella, and we're probably going to hear a lot of them. What I think is important is for people to realize that the decision that came out of the Supreme Court basically sent the power back to the states to make these decisions closer to the people. So every state will be having this debate on what it looks like closer to home. And I think that that's important because Roe v. Wade certainly took an action that made it a federal decision, and more appropriately, it should be made at the state level. So that's the debate that every single state will be deciding what it looks like at home.
But for you all, you're not against IVF in your state, and you wouldn't support a ban on that?
I'm not, but obviously when you get to bills and laws and legislators and people, everybody has different opinions. And that's what I think is wonderful about this country. We have those debates. We talk about these hard issues, and every perspective makes better policy. I talk about this consistently in my book, that diversity in this country is amazing because you learn from each other. And everybody comes with a different perspective, and that helps you get a better policy at the end of the day.
Well, let's talk a little bit about your book. As we mentioned, you're the first female governor of South Dakota. Before that, you were a 4-term congresswoman. Tell us why you wanted to write this book and what your readers will get out of it.
Well, I think a lot of people don't really know me very well. They've probably seen me in the news the last couple of years because of COVID and some of the decisions we've made in South Dakota. I think the way I grew up was really unique. I told a couple of stories to a couple of friends, and they're like, you got to write these down. So I wrote them down, and then they said, this is hilarious. You need to put this background into a book and consider it. So it really is a story of South Dakota. It's a unique way to grow up on a ranch. It feels a little bit like the American West. I had a dad who was very tough and a cowboy, and a mom who was wonderful and holding the whole family together. So using those stories to really tell my viewpoint on America. There's some political stories in there too, but it's more of a memoir of my life so far.
Governor Noem, it's good to have you here. The book, folks, Not My First Rodeo, Governor of South Dakota. Thank you for being here. I know you'll continue to be a part of these debates down the road. Thanks so much.
Well, hey there, GMA fans. Robin Roberts here. Thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Lots of great stuff here. So go on, click the subscribe button right over here to get more of awesome videos and content from GMA every day, anytime. We thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the morning on GMA.